The Chainsaw Man anime has been nothing short of spectacular, ranging from incredibly well-made and well-thought-out openings and endings, and of course, Makima and Power finally hitting the big stage in the form of animation. But today, I just want to take a slightly deeper look into some aspects of the Chainsaw Man anime that truly impressed me thus far in its short running, along with just a general overview of my thoughts of the anime. And to start off, it would be an absolute travesty if I didn't speak on the incredible animation of the anime. And no, I'm not only talking about Makima. Well, actually, maybe a little. Many animes have an issue where there is an animation drop or the animation is mediocre in some aspects or areas of the show. What I basically mean is that sacrifices have to be made when animating, and this issue rings exceptionally true when we're speaking about shonen anime, which Chainsaw Man falls under. If you haven't noticed already, shonen animes typically have a mediocre level of animation for a significant portion of the show, especially when fights are not occurring. But when a fight does occur, the animation quality typically astronomically increases to incredible levels of animation. This is so incredibly common in the anime space that there's actually a term coined for animation quality that greatly exceeds the average of the show, which of course, many of you may know as the word Sakuga. What's so incredible about the Chainsaw Man anime is that the quality maintains such a high level throughout every single aspect of the show that it's really hard to notice any sort of rises or dips in animation quality. This is true when we're disregarding the first episode, of course. There is rarely a scene where a character is in a still frame and are speaking and not moving at all. And when there's actually a scene that sort of fits the description that I mentioned beforehand, there's always subtle movements that keep the scene fresh and honestly kind of realistic. These subtle movements include neck movements or maybe just small gestures with the hands, like they're moving something. As you can imagine, these small subtle movements are greatly appreciated for someone that really enjoys great animation. Like I mentioned before, the animation also seems to be always improving as the episodes go by. We went from sort of janky CGI animation for the first fight in the first episode, which honestly worried me a little bit, to one of the most dynamic and clean looking fights in episode 4 against the Leech Demon. The most recent episode sort of made the first episode look like a hot pile of garbage in comparison. And the first episode wasn't even that bad in terms of animation. With all the points on animation wrapped up, we have to speak on the impeccable work from the voice acting team, which honestly, I feel like doesn't really get spoken about a lot. Evidently, the works of both Tomori Kusunoki, the voice of Makima, and Ifuruz, the voice of Power, have been absolutely incredible in encapsulating the actual personalities of each character, along with honestly just how the entire community kind of envisioned how they would actually sound like. While the two aforementioned voice actors have honestly, in my personal opinion, stood out amongst the entire Chainsaw Man cast, we need to give a massive rounds of applause for our guy, Toya Kanoshi. Post-production Dang here. I just want to mention that I just realized halfway through editing that his name is actually pronounced Toya Kikunosuke. So every single time I say Toya Kinosuke, just know that it's actually pronounced Kikunosuke. Now let's get back to the video. Who has been the voice of Denji in the Chainsaw Man series. Toya Kinosuke has honestly been one of the standout members of the cast, and honestly has been doing an incredible job voicing Denji, even though this is quite literally the first major role he has ever taken in his entire career. The way he voiced Denji honestly matches his character to a T. The fact that Denji kind of speaks slow, uncaring, and even generally oblivious matches how Denji is in the manga. The way he voiced Denji honestly is exactly, if not closest, to what I actually envisioned Denji sounding like in an animation or real life setting. Once again, huge shout out to Toya Kanosuke for doing an incredible and immaculate job on Denji in Chainsaw Man, and I honestly hope that his career is further propelled from his incredible work on this show. And what can I say? I do love myself a nice up-and-coming rookie in the industry. Now, let's get to the absolute core of this entire video, and that is whether the show was absolutely enjoyable, and if it was truly worth the hype. If you haven't caught the vibe of this video already, you would already know that my answer is yes to both of those questions. Like I mentioned before, the animation quality and animation consistency has been an absolute joy to watch, along with the masterful work in voice acting being honestly close as possible to perfect in my expectations at the very least. But personally, I felt like the most enjoyable thing to watch is watching all of these aspects come together in the form of high levels of effort and passion in this project. When you look at the high levels of quality and meticulous detail in every single aspect of the show, you can actually feel every ounce of the budget going into the show for good reasons. When speaking from personal experience, I really noticed the care that went into the show when I watched the intro and the power outro for the first time. They didn't need to add subtle references and nods to other series and famous movies, and they didn't need to add subtle nods to the community, especially in the power outro. And obviously, they didn't need to provide fluid and solid animation for either of these aspects of the show. They could have stuck with something generic, like a fight scene or a character running in the wind, and maybe just a animation loop for the outro, but they didn't. Just adding these small little details makes an audience feel like they are watching something that the production team truly cares about. And evidently, the audience would feel more invested into something that production team actually wants to make. All in all, with the few episodes we have watched thus far, I can only say that this show is easily the best one that has come out this season, and we'll just have to wait and see if it ends up being the best one of the year. Before we start the outro, I appreciate you all for sticking out with my mini hiatus for midterms. I still got a few more tests to go, but we'll make it through, and I can probably get some more content to you as soon as that whole midterm test period is over. And once again, thank you all for watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We're trying to hit 500 subs for the community tab, so let's keep up the hard work, yeah? And I guess I'll see you all later.